Welcome back to Knitches Get Stitches. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Trina. Welcome to episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about storage like we mentioned in last month's episode. To catch y'all up on what we've been doing, I haven't really been doing that much except watching a lot of TV, which we'll talk about in StitchFlix. So,
yeah. I've been on the road a lot. So last weekend, no, 2 weekends ago, I went to Philadelphia and we had a whole family visit the pumpkin patch weekend. Carved pumpkins and we made apple crisp and the whole 9 yards, picked some apples, it was great. And then last weekend I went to San Antonio to visit some friends and I started some mittens while I was there, hoping that I could start them and finish them and leave them in San Antonio where they're bound to live forever, and that didn't happen. So I have them to show you all today instead. And we'll show those. What are we doing for Thanksgiving, Trine?
For Thanksgiving, we're gonna head to our parents' house in North Carolina. Our dad, I think we mentioned before, is a ukulele player, but he's also in a ukulele band. He went to the senior center in our hometown and taught a bunch of seniors how to play ukulele, and they're doing a show.
And now they have a band.
Yeah, so he's invited us to come sing with them at the Botanical Gardens, where they have like a light show, like a Christmas light show, and they kick it off the day after Thanksgiving, and we're gonna go sing at it. So should be fun. Yeah. What about you, Craftus? What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Waterloo.
That sounds pretty cool, Craftus. Okay. I hope you have fun. That's cool. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to Minnesota this weekend. I also have mittens that are going to go live there. Hopefully they'll be done by then.
Yeah, I'm going to Philly tomorrow. I'm visiting my friend who is notoriously named Spoon. I didn't learn his real name until well after college.
I thought his real name was Spoon.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, I don't even know, like, when I introduced him to people, I'm like, what do you want to be called? He's like, Spoon's fine. So I'm really excited to go see my friend Spoon, and I'm not visiting any family, so I'm really glad this will be posted after the trip. Sorry about it, guys. I did finally mail off the present that I made for our cousin Jen. She texted me and was really excited about it, which was really nice of her. And I joked that when I called her mom for her address that I could hear the judgment through the phone, and she's like, "My mom wasn't judging you," but I don't believe her. I don't believe it. We were so late sending that present. So that's it for us. But speaking of projects, let's go ahead and jump into our projects. Like I said, I don't have a lot of people to embroider for, and so I don't really have that many projects. So I really pushed myself through. Melissa bought me ages ago these really cute learn to craft ones. So she bought me this sugar skull, and she bought me this pineapple, and so I went and made those. And they're both super cute on their own. They're really small. The sugar skull's even tinier. It's just so cute.
I love it so much.
And as soon as I was finished them, I was like, ooh, I know immediately who I'm giving these to, because they're good enough to like give away. I really like this one. I thought so. The sugar skull was really difficult to do, and the directions that came with it were really poor. And so I was thinking that maybe they were from a different brand, but they're the same brand, even though the header looks like just a little different. One does say 8+. This one doesn't have an age on it, so maybe you have to be at least 8 to do the sugar skull, and that's why it was so difficult. But the directions, like, it only told you to use 3 strands for the white part on the outside, and that was it. Everything else, you were, I guess, supposed to use 6 strands of the floss, and it just wasn't fitting. There was no way I was going to get everything to fit in there, so I actually had to, I didn't learn anything to do this one, but had I not already known what I was doing, it would have probably turned out a hot mess. So, but they were still really fun, and yeah, I already know who I'm going to gift them to, so I'm very excited to get them out of the house. And then the first episode, I mentioned the curtains and how I was going to point them out, but I never actually pointed them out. The curtain, I talked about before how we have a projector in the house, but then we have 6 or 7 windows on the first floor of our house. So they all cast light onto the projector screen. I had the intention of making blackout curtains for all the windows. Melissa drove me to Joann's and we bought 3 bolts of muslin because the initial idea was to do shades and then to also do curtains. But once I got like decorations up and stuff, I was like, there's no room for actual curtains. So we just stuck with the shades. Melissa was gone for 5 days or so, and so I was like, because the house again is very small, so I knew it was going to take up the whole first floor while I was doing it, and sure enough it did. And so while Melissa was gone, I was like, okay, I'm going to knock these curtains out. So I didn't really use a pattern. I saw a photo of this style online and I thought that's what I need, because everyone else wanted to have you do the like Roman shades, like actually pulling them up, and I was like, I don't want to do that much work. So I saw this woman, she just put buttons on them and then sewed little loops on. I was like, I can do that. So I measured the windows 87 times. Melissa can contend I am a compulsive measurer. I just get so anxious that my measurements are going to be wrong, and so I'm like, nope, I gotta measure it again. So I have like, I carry little notebooks around like an old man because I'm like, no, I gotta write this measurement down. I'm a big mess when it comes to measuring. So I measured the windows 87 times, and then I just happened to have these curtain rods from the person who lived here previously, so I didn't have to buy those, which was really nice. And so this is just muslin with regular blackout material on the back. I didn't cover the blackout material muslin. It's not like inside or anything. So when the sun is shining on it, you can see the holes on the side from where the stitch went through. I also had a huge problem with my sewing machine that day where it was just bird nesting all over the place. And so I tried to start with like a hem stitch, and it just like, it worked the first one, and then after that it was like, no, I'm tired. And it just kept bird nesting. It was such a mess. So I finally was just like, all right, we're doing straight stitch all the way through. We're just gonna send it on. So the rest are straight stitch, and it's fine. They don't let in like enough light where it really disturbs the projector at all, so it's fine. And then I just marked them into 3 sections and put buttons on at the very top. And then the bottom, I just sewed a loop into the seam. So when we want them up, we just hook them onto the button like that. And it works really great. Honestly, it's super cute. The only thing I wish that I had done differently was add a straight stick in where the seams are, so that when they hang straight. But that's just a personal preference. It looks neater when they're hanging straight versus like this little droop that it gets. But because my windows aren't very wide, it's not that obvious. And then the pom-poms on the bottom, I just hot glued those suckers on because I was like, I don't want to use my sewing machine anymore. I don't really want to put any more holes into the blackout material. And so I just hot glued them on, and they've stuck just fine. My parents did buy me this really cute owl thing that hung on our front door for a while, and it was obviously hot glued together from the store, and it started to fall apart. So I was really nervous that it wasn't going to last, but they've lasted just fine, and they work out really well. I still have 2 to make. I'm gonna get on that. I finally at least bought curtain rods for them. This like tension rod, so I can stick them in the window. So we'll get to them soon enough. I haven't tried to wash them yet, so I don't know how successful that will be. And they've been up for a while. I should probably wash them, but until someone spills a ton of stuff on them, I'm not gonna worry about it. I can't remember if we've mentioned before that we do pizzelles for all the neighbors and we put them in cake boxes, but that's something that I like to do at Christmas because they're, you know, like just non-traditional gifts, and they don't cost any money. They're super easy to make. They also are pretty much a crowd pleaser. Everyone really likes them. And so I decorate them with pom-poms. And so I started making pom-poms. And so I'm like 12 pom-pom deep. And you know how much I love pom-poms. So I'm really excited about that project. So I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch TV and make pom-poms. That's my plan for the next month.
And then she's gonna make 500 pizzelles. She made 500 pizzelles last year, you guys.
That's because I used to work in a bigger office, and I had a lot of friends at that agency, and now I have a lot less friends at the agency I work at, and my office is only 5 people big, so I will make approximately 50 pizzelles, which is a much more reasonable number of pizzelles.
Yeah. Trina just sits at our kitchen table for the whole Christmas season, just
2 whole days and just make pizzelles. It's
dolloping out. So I make snickerdoodles and then Al eats them all.
Me too. I love snickerdoodles.
That's what happens.
Just a little burnt. I need them to be a little burnt.
I stick Trina's. Trina gets her own like 5 or 6 snickerdoodles that I put back in the oven until they're burnt.
Yeah, I love burnt stuff. So good.
And then I have to set those aside because those aren't for anybody else. Nobody else wants my burnt cookies, but Trina wants my burnt cookies.
What about you?
I finished a couple of things. This is, you might remember this from the first episode. This is the seed stitch cowl that I used to teach myself Portuguese knitting. So it's all finished. It's really nice. I finally finished it. It was honestly just to teach myself Portuguese knitting. So there's no pattern. It's 115 stitches, seed stitched till the end of the cake of yarn. This was made with Malabrigo Rios in the Anniversario colorway. And now it also has matching mittens. So these are, one of my friends saw this and said, I love that yarn, can I have mittens? And I said, well sure, let's get you some mittens. And so these are also Malabrigo Anniversario. And this is a real pattern. This is Northern 2 by Melissa Schwashberry.
Maybe that's how we say your last name.
I'm sorry, Melissa. I really loved your pattern, though. It was fantastic. It's just knits and pearls, and it was a really easy pattern to knit up and finish, and it really only took me a couple hours to make them, but I didn't do a lot of knitting while I was visiting my friends in San Antonio, so they just didn't get finished. So those are those, and I'm also, Trina asked for seat cushions. Our kitchen chairs are really beautiful aesthetically.
Yeah, but that's about as far as it goes. They're uncomfortable to sit on for a long time. They're wire chairs in the leaf pattern. They didn't come with the plastic bit that they usually come with. I have had 2 variations of cushions on them that I bought. Cushions are expensive, y'all. I don't understand why chair cushions are so expensive. It didn't make any sense to me. So I enlisted Melissa to make me some cushions, but as thin as they could be. And I picked a crochet style, so then suddenly she had to crochet them.
No, it was great. Such a great learning experience. So these are the cushions, actually, and they're inspired. So I'll tell you that we didn't follow the pattern exactly because the pattern is for a pillow, and I had to change all the measurements and the length of these stripes and stuff, but it was actually inspired by the Pebbles cushion cover by Tyne Jensen, and so she provided the inspiration for us to make these cushion covers. And so this is just Lion Brand Woolies, and it's Tunisian crochet, so it's not regular crochet necessarily. It's Tunisian crochet, and that was fun to learn. And so we learned how to do that for train seat cushions, and I think they look fantastic personally. Yeah. So, and then I'm going to give you the warning that I have mittens with naughty words on them.
Sorry for any children under 18 watching.
Yeah, I'm like, so cover your eyes if it will offend you. So I'm making these mittens that are the How Cold Is It mittens, and they're going to live in Minnesota, where it is actually cold as this.
Cold as balls. I guess that's not appropriate either. We don't know kids. We don't have any in our life.
We don't have any children, and I'm sorry. So these are the Cold AF mittens, and they're going to go live in the land of Cold AF because they're going to go live in Minnesota. And so I worked them. These are done, or I did them 2 at a time on Magic Loop. And I used these little yarn socks to help me maintain the fact that I was juggling 4 balls of yarn. And it worked out well for me. These have, no twists and turns and untangling or cussing happened in my room while I was making the cussing mittens. So those were good. Those are the How Cold Is It mittens by Drunk Girl Designs. Everybody loves them, and so they're going to go live their best life in Minnesota.
Yeah, Melissa said she saw them in the county fair competition, but just the backs of them because they couldn't display the cuss word side. And when I expected the backs to be really intricate, and then when I saw them I was like, oh, that's it? That's the back? Because they won the prize at the county fair, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Though I will say I just walked in while she was working on these today, and she had her concentration face on. And I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, honestly, it was like a solid 10 seconds before she replied to me. And I was like, oh, you're busy. I can see that now.
This is the tiniest needle I ever used. I've never knitted with anything this small before. These are my 1.5s. So they're not even 2s, they're my 1.5s. It's just so little bitty yarn on little bitty needles. So
one of the projects I didn't talk about was the wedding one that I made for Allison and Jack. I did finish it. The pine cones were really more difficult than I thought they would be. All of the pictures I saw online were people who just sort of satin stitched gradual growth and then back down like in a wave, and then they did that over and over again. But the pine cones on the pattern were so small, I couldn't fit it in there. And so what I ended up doing was just, and I'll show a picture of it, Craftus, how dare you attack me right now? Can't you see we are busy? Rude. Anyway, so all I ended up doing was like a seat stitch and like holding the bit down, and then I, almost like a wide lazy daisy, I tied it over with like one little stitch at the end, and that worked really great. So I'll put that picture up for this. So
it looked incredible. I got to see it.
Yeah, I was really happy about it. Though I sent it through the mail to them, even though they live in DC, just because I love the mail. And I have learned via their Instagram feed, they are still on their honeymoon. They've been on their honeymoon for like 2 weeks, according to my Instagram. And so it's just like sitting in the mail. And I hope...
But on time this time.
On time. I wasn't even invited to this wedding. I just love them so much, and I'm so happy for them that I was like, I want, and also I'm always looking for projects to do because, like I said, I don't have that many friends.
So if you have project ideas for Trina,
list them in the comments. Alright, so on to Disney bounding. So first we're going to talk about this that Craftus is already wearing. So we pulled out the pink and the kind of purple,
some of the blue,
and then because it is such a dark pink, we're like, ooh, it's a little evil.
So yeah, so we went and we needed somebody evil who wears pink and purple and blue. So we came up with Lady Tremaine from Cinderella.
Yeah, evil stepmom.
The evil stepmom from
Classic.
Cinderella.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this genuinely suits her. Like, you know, we're stretching it for sure with some of our projects, but this, I feel like she could wear this. For real.
And I feel like she wears like a little muff and I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely wears the like little scarf thing.
Yeah. So I'm not going to put these on Craftus because they're still on the needles, but we are going to Disney bound these because they are going to go, they won't be back as a finished project here to live. So we're going to Disney bound these now, and we chose Marie from the Aristocats because she's a little bit saucy and she might say this word. She might let this word slip out.
Yeah, adult Marie definitely would be like, yo, Francis called us boy, and you'd be like, Marie. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, we think Marie would love those. And one of the things we wanted to try, tell us if you hate it, because I'm not too sure about it.
I love it.
We thought that we could decorate Disney Stars homes with these. So the pineapple we thought might look great in Tiana's new restaurant.
Yes, as a welcome.
Yeah, so if those of you who don't know, pineapple is often considered a sign of Southern hospitality, just like welcoming. So her new kitchen definitely needs that. Maybe she'll throw some pineapple in her dishes. I don't know that pineapple is often in New Orleans cooking, but if it is, I'm there because I love pineapple. The sugar skull is obviously Coco. I mean, could it be anything else? I started with Book of Life because I love that movie, but I don't remember if that's a Disney movie or not.
I don't think it is.
But Coco's so new and fresh on everyone's mind. It was so good. So yeah, so sugar skulls, Coco.
Side note, when Trina saw Coco, she came home and said to me, do we need to build a shrine? Because I'm for this now.
Yeah, man. I just love our family so much. And I'm terrible at having photos around the house. Just awful. If there's a photo in this house, it's because someone gave it to me already framed. And so I was just like, it'd be really nice to have that because it's such a nice way to remember them all the time. So right now, we're going to talk about our StitchFlix later, but one of the things I'm doing for StitchFlix is so that I can intentionally have a shrine. In line of projects, let's go ahead and talk about Drop a Dime, Save a Dime.
last month we promised you that we would talk about storage, and we are ready for this conversation.
Yeah, so like Bridget said, people just want to give you stuff sometimes, and we're like, yeah, sure, that sounds great, but where am I going to keep it? So we have some solutions. Some are new, some are DIY, and so I'll let Melissa start hers off because she has the biggest stash of yarn. No, it's not huge, it's just in this small house, it's hard to find places to store it.
I have, of the two of us, I have the larger stash.
Yeah.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. But, so I went on to Amazon and I purchased these under the bed storage, and my under the bed isn't very deep necessarily, so I needed the ones that were kind of unstructured. They were a little bit floppy. And so I bought these floppy. They were honestly the cheapest ones on Amazon. I think they cost me $16, and they came two. I got two for $16. I was into that life. And they worked out better than I anticipated, honestly, because they have little windows in them. So they're cloth, right? They're like plasticky cloth or whatever. And they have little plastic windows in them that you can see through, so that I can see, because I did separate my yarn into planned projects and not planned projects, so I know which one I have to open, so that's kind of nice about them. I will tell you that they had that weird new smell.
Yeah, that smell that comes with like those nylon bags.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it had that weird new smell. So I honestly just stuck them out in the sunlight for 2 days. I just put them on the back porch.
It smelled that much?
Yeah, I didn't like the smell. So they sat out on the porch for 2 days just to air out and get the sun. The sunshine kind of just pulls that smell right off of them. So I just sat them out there for a little bit. And Trina made me, so I'm going to let Trina talk about it, because Trina made me what is probably my favorite stash.
So when we were shifting stuff around, I really, when I sit on the couch, I like to have my legs stretched out. And the first couch we had in here was L-shaped, and so I just sat on the L. But then things started to get really cramped, and I wanted like chairs so that people could face us and sit, so we weren't just all sitting on the couch. And so we sold that couch, and then I bought a regular straight couch, and so I knew I needed a footstool. But once Melissa moved in and she had all this yarn, I thought, oh, we need a footstool with storage. So I bought this footstool. I bought it on Etsy. It was initially this brown color. Here's a photo of that. And it's really great for our space because, again, it's so small. So it has, you can't really see the legs, but they're mid-century legs with little gold bottoms. And then the trim was actually already gold. And then what I did was I paint taped the gold parts, and then I vinyl spray paint the whole thing blue to match our couch, because our couch is blue. And I am so happy with how it turned out. And then the top opens up, so you can't see the whole top. Alright, so the top has these little pockets, because it's initially a sewing basket. So the top has these little pockets, and then there's all this storage in there, which is great. So the yarn that we keep in here is actually our pom-pom yarn.
And then Trina's always very good at storage. I mean, she kind of excels at this tiny house living and how to handle the stuff. I'm less skilled at it, but Trina has this really neat storage system for her craft.
Yeah, so I got a laptop desk, just a really normal one with storage, and because really what I wanted was a laptop desk. I wanted something that I could sit on and kind of hold my laptop, hold my hands while I was stitching. I mentioned I love the post office, so I write a lot of letters, so I wanted something where I could sit at the couch and write letters. And the storage in this one works great. It has a little hole in it just for picking it up. And then all my hoops fit in there. The pom-pom makers fit in there. The light board fits in there. And initially I was keeping all of the skeins of floss in there too, until my mom bought me the other thing. And it all fit. So I think what works well for your space, because maybe this isn't something you need, but if it's something that you've been debating and you're not really sure how to keep something that's so small together, I really recommend something like this, because not only is it holding your stuff, but it's also useful. And that's a big thing that I want. Like, I don't want people to just give me decorations. I want something that doubles as something else. So if I have a decoration, it's probably a potpourri holder, or it's a coin bank, or if someone made it for me, then I likely still have it. But it's really rare that I buy something for myself that's just pure decoration. Yeah, so we'll link all of this stuff below if it's something that interests you, so that you can either double check it out to see if it's something that you want precisely, or it's just so you can get an idea of the thing that we're using, so that you can get a better idea of what works for your place. And if you found really good storage solutions at your house, let us know about them in the comments.
Because we need help. Well,
yeah.
Mostly me.
Everyone does. Yeah, Melissa also, her boyfriend put up hooks on the wall so she could hang her project bags full of yarn.
My bedroom before the under the bed storage, you walked in and there was just bags. Like, we had hooks just stacked, kind of hook, 5 bags, 5 bags, 5 bags, just yarn. It was, and then on the back of the bed, they were all the bags of yarn were hanging off like the back posts of my bed. It was a mess. The under the storage is much calmer. It's a much better system than I was doing before, and it freed up a lot of my space so that I could keep out my project bags, because I have one project bag that I love the most that I keep like everything in right now that I'm working on, and all the other project bags hold like UFOs and things that I'll come back to maybe someday. Lace shawl for life. I'm never finishing that scarf. It was terrible, and Trina inspires me, so thank you for the inspiration to actually create a space for my yarn that was out of the way and, you know, not stacking up the side of my wall.
You're welcome. Yeah, I love storage. So if you even have a storage question, let me know. I love coming up with solutions. I busy myself with it all the time, even though everything is away here. I'm just like, what more can I do? Like, I want everything to be so functional. So I'm happy to offer maybe some solutions for you.
Yeah. What else did Trina put away today?
It's a big question. I even have to question myself. I'm like, ugh, you did this too well, Mincer. Where did you put this?
That has happened.
Yeah.
Where she's out Trina'd herself.
Yeah. So when you're great, where else can you go? But be lost. Yeah, so. Alright, on to our StitchFlix.
I finally watched television, and I'm super excited to share it with you because I loved both of these shows so much. So I'm going to start off with A Million Little Things, and it's right in that same kind of TV drama emotional situation as This Is Us. They're very different stories. I don't want to like set a comparison, but it's that same kind of emotional, love the family kind of stories. So A Million Little Things I'm completely in love with. I actually recognized most of the actors, which doesn't usually happen for me all that often because I'm not good at that stuff. But the guy from Psych is in it, and the guy from Office Space. Yeah, the guy from Office Space. Yeah, the guy from Office Space.
Nick from Grimm is in it.
Nick from Grimm is in it.
Is there any Grimmers out there that miss Nick so much? I loved Grimm. So sad when it was canceled.
So it's really heartwarming. It's not a spoiler alert because it happens in the first 10 minutes of the first episode. So there's a suicide, and then the show is all about like the friendships supporting one another through the suicide and why did it happen, and I'm head over heels in love with it. I highly recommend it. I'm also watching The Discovery of Witches. I loved those books. So those books gave me probably the worst case of book hangover I've ever had in my life. So like once I finished those books, I couldn't want to read anything else because nothing else was as perfect as those books. I just watched the last episode of the first season for The Discovery of Witches. I felt like the show moved far too fast. I felt like they could have, it was only an 8-episode season, 8 hours give or take for a book that was probably 700 pages or more. I felt like they sped up the timeline, but I felt like they also stayed very true to the book. So I was pretty happy with it, honestly. So it doesn't have Benedict Cumberbatch in it.
It doesn't have him in it?
It doesn't have him in it, no.
Why would you bring that up?
Because it has the other handsome guy in it.
I need you to be more specific.
Not Matthew Good?
The guy from The Crown?
Yes.
And then Doctor Who?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it has other handsome English man in it.
There's so many. Hey, English guys. What up?
How you doing? It was very well done.
I also clocked in a couple of British shows. Dang you British shows in your short seasons or series, whatever you want to call them. We're not appreciative of that over here.
26 episodes, you guys.
Yeah. Find some funding. Let us somehow broadcast your commercials to us. We'll buy Cadbury's. We love them. It's delicious. We agree that Hershey's is inferior to Cadbury's. Okay? So I watched Misfits for the second time. I loved that show so much, and it just kept popping back in my brain, and I was like, I want to go back and watch Misfits, so I did. It's 5 seasons, about 8 episodes every season. It's still such a good show. I think I have a hero show complex. I really like hero shows, because I also loved Heroes. Arrow, Flash, though Arrow, don't get me started on that show. I finished the last season of The Americans. I only had like 2 episodes to go. I think I just got distracted and forgot to watch The Americans. Yeah, so I finished The Americans. If you haven't watched that show, it's excellent. I will always be a fan of Kerry Russell and try and watch everything she's in, and she is superb in this show.
Yeah, she really was.
I watched the 3rd season of Man in the High Castle, excuse me.
How was that?
It was good, but also a little confusing. They really jumped into the secret this time, and then someone doesn't make it.
Oh.
Yeah, I was surprised at...
Like a main character?
Yeah, I was surprised. It was still good, but yeah, I mean, I was excited for where the show was going to turn. Like, I could see it in the first season. I was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening here. So they finally turned into that, and it's good. It's a good season. Some characters, yeah, it was good. Yeah, shows that I've caught up on, because we're back in fall season of TV, is Riverdale. That show is ridiculous, and it's also the inspiration for our Stitch Along this month. A Good Place, which is such a funny show, laugh out loud funny. This Is Us. Melissa already knows the story, so I watched the Super Bowl episode live because I was like, I need to know what happens to Deck. And so I watched it live, but usually we watch it on Hulu, and Hulu only updates you to the next episode when you've watched it. So Super Bowl Sunday just kept showing up on Hulu, and I was just like, oh, they must have not put out any more episodes. So I stopped watching it accidentally for a season and a half. And I was just like, when are they gonna come out with new episodes? And then finally it was like, oh, the season finale. And I was like, season finale? What? I was still stuck on, what's Hulu doing? And then finally I went to the This Is Us page on Hulu, and I was like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. It's because I watched this episode live. So yeah, I love the show, though it has not made me cry this season so far. That first season tore me to pieces, man. I was...
Every other episode,
yeah,
I needed a box of tissues.
I was like, this family is so beautiful. Yeah, it was, and I don't cry a lot at TV, but This Is Us got me good. You're watching This Is Us too, right?
I just caught up on This Is Us. I too have not cried this season, now that you mention it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I binged it, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, but you're right, I too have not. Oh no, I'm a liar. The Alanis Morissette episode got to me.
I'm missing an episode apparently. I didn't watch that one. So
Alanis Morissette defined by, because the triplets are like the same. They're like right between us.
Yeah.
And so yeah, since Alanis Morissette defined my teenage years, it got to me.
Yeah, I still love Alanis Morissette. So one of the things, so we mentioned the Stitch Along. Well, I mentioned the Stitch Along, and it's something that we talked about. Well, we didn't talk about it last week, but when Melissa pointed out that the Guernsey society that Guernsey also has its own sweater style, I was like, oh, it'd be really fun if we could tie stuff to our StitchFlix for a Stitch Along. And so I've been wanting to try, for those of you who follow a lot of the embroidery Instagram feeds, the loose hair embroidery that everyone's doing. And because Betty Cooper's ponytail is iconic, I thought it'd be really fun to do a Riverdale Stitch Along. And so I've drafted up what I think is a good image to go with, and I'll share it below with a link to it saved on a Google Drive, because I'm not sure how else to share that with folks. But if there's a better way to share PDFs with y'all, let me know, because this is the first time I've done that. For knitting,
so we're gonna do like a you do you, right? If you watch Riverdale, then you know that it's based off of the Archie comics, kind of. Find a pattern that speaks to you. You know, like Jughead always kind of wears that crown, and Veronica always wears a bow. You know, so something, so maybe like a headband that has like a little crossbow here or something. Something that speaks to you. I'm going to make, because I already owned the pattern and I made it for my cousin Sarah, I'm going to make Hohi Locatelli BA Cool again, because the chevron pattern in it reminds me very much of the crown for Jughead's crown.
Don't feel like you have to make Jughead's hat.
No.
It's not cute for most things other than cosplay. You'll never wear it, likely. No one will want to wear it, likely. So yeah, so initially Melissa was like, Trina, I'll know about this. And I was like, but it'll be fun. And she's like, no, but it won't. So
we're going to interpret.
Yeah.
We're using free interpretation.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to follow my pattern at all for Betty Cooper. If you have something that you want to do that's just loose hair, that's cool. Like, do that. If you're having a hard time coming up with inspiration, you're welcome to use the pattern that I made.
If you're knitting along with us, please post your pictures and tag us on Instagram. I think that's probably the best place for us to kind of follow along and see what you're working on.
Yeah, and if you aren't already following us on Instagram, it's at Knitches Get Stitches.
I want to talk just a second about what to expect on the next episode of Drop a Dime, Save a Dime. So I did some experimenting and I bought some different kinds of yarn at different weights for different price points so that we could talk about what it means to recognize when it actually is a good deal. That's at the top of my list for Drop a Dime, Save a Dime next time, is how to recognize the good deal. And we just appreciate, as always, that you guys are here with us. Let us know how you feel about the episode in the comments. We enjoy sharing our time with you. We hope that you are enjoying this as well. I need some inspiration recently from you guys, so let us know what you're making. Tag us on Instagram. Help us find the inspiration for our next project. Trina needs more projects.
Yeah, I need more projects. So I am struggling for inspiration, because I'm not struggling for inspiration, but I'm struggling to give my stuff away. So if you give me stuff to do that you want, I'll be happy to make it for you in a certain amount of time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And see you later, Knitches.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next time.